Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our FSB National webinar on how to network successfully online. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Ruth Lambert, and I'm one of the development managers with the Federation of Small Businesses. So that means I look after an area of members, and my area is Somerset and Wiltshire. But obviously, I know that you are from across the UK today, so thank you so much for joining us. And in a moment, I'm going to be handing over to Kelly and James West from Only Networking, who are kindly being our speakers today. We heard them speak at one of our virtual networking sessions and we're so impressed we offered them a national networking. So I'm confident that you will find this session useful today. They're going to deliver a double-handed presentation, and they'll be pausing to take questions throughout that presentation. So you'll find that the chat box isn't working because we're anticipating you won't really need that today. So if you have a question for Kelly or James or even myself, please can you type it into the Q&A box, which you will find down the bottom of the screen. We are recording today's session, and it'll shortly be available on our on-demand page on the FSB website. So don't worry about having to take too many notes. Then you'll be able to watch it back again as much as you like. And Kelly and James have given us some additional resources that they may well refer to, and we will be emailing those out after the session, so you'll have those again. We are doing the closed captioning, so if you need to use that, please do again look at the bottom of your screen and it says show captions, and you can bring up the closed captioning if you need that help. If you're not yet an FSB member, we'd love to have you as part of the FSB family. So please do have a look at the FSB website at fsb.org.uk, and you can book a meeting with a membership advisor and find out more about all the other benefits of being an FSB member on top of these webinars that we run for our members and the wider small business community. So now I'm going to hand over to Kelly and James and look forward to hearing what they have to say. Good morning, guys, and over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Ruth. It's lovely to be here. Welcome from myself and James. So I'm Kelly West. Those of you astute to recognise that I'm one half of Only Networking. So we are the founders. We're husband and wife team, business partners, and we are the founders of Only Networking, the business network for people who like people.
Good stuff. Thanks, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. 184 people here, Kelly.
That's good.
Better do a good job, haven't we?
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to explain. We've got loads of information to share with you, so we'll be brief in our intro. We're going to talk about how to get value from networking, quite frankly, particularly with a focus on online, because we know there's still some cynicism online. Can you really get value from that? Absolutely, you can. That's what our network's built on. FSB are doing a great job with this as well. You can ask questions, as Ruth already mentioned. Please use the Q&A box. We'll be referring to them at 3 stages throughout this webinar. We've also got some really good handouts. We've done a networking jargon. We did think about talking about, giving you some of the what's a one-to-one, what's a referral, but we thought it was better to do it in a document other than read at you throughout this session. So there's that handout. There's also our pre and post meeting checklist, because here's a little spoiler. If you want to get value from networking, it's not just the meeting, it's the before and afters, but we'll share those takeaways with you after. So I'm going to start this presentation slideshow. Kelly, it's lucky that we're doing this as a duo, because I can ask you whether you can see what I've tried to share.
I can indeed. Yeah, I can. Can't see anything
Fantastic.
else.
Over to you then.
Fantastic. Right, so to start, I'm going to briefly explain our story, who we are, what we're doing here, and why we find networking so valuable. We've got a lovely twee story. Here's the sort of tongue-in-cheek bit as well. We met at networking, we got married, and we've gained most of our business and friendships from networking, in all honesty. So we networked on our wedding day. Yep. Lovely story. We can't promise you this. We can't promise you a wonderful picturesque wedding under the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, but there is a reason for us telling you this. Networking has given us so much more than just business. Okay, it's given us an awful lot of opportunities, as well as close friends, opportunities to collaborate with people. The list is endless, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But the reason we're telling you this, so James and I did meet at networking. We met at Poddy. I couldn't join that network because it was closed category. So we ended up having a one-to-one, and the rest, as they say, is history. But we networked on our wedding day. So the reason for us telling you this story is to be open-minded enough to network wherever you are. If you're a business owner, networking, marketing, and shouting about yourself should always be at the forefront of your mind. So Stephen that married us there, I found him online, looking for places to get married in New York. He's a rabbi, we're not Jewish, he was just very cheap. So we went with him. We'd never met him before, we'd just communicated with him online, went and got married. Just before that first picture, where you see us talking to Stephen on the left there, he said to us, guys, I don't even know what you do. Tell me what you do before we do this, as the photographer was setting up. And we said, we're web designers, which is what we used to do. And he went, right, hold that thought. We got married. He gave us some information about what he does. He runs a couple of other businesses, and we built 3 websites as a result of that just one question just before we got married. Great story for us when we then launched Only, because you can network everywhere and anywhere. Doesn't matter when it is. He is still a client of ours and we work for him regularly, even all of this time later. I won't say how long, because I can't remember. James.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? Worth noting at this point that it was 100 degrees that day. It doesn't look like it, and Kelly's dress was £17.
It was, yeah.
If you were admiring that.
I know, exactly. So what can you get from business networking, be it online or in person? Here we're going to just give you a list of different things that you can gain from it. This is a brief list, and it is certainly not an exhaustive list of what you can gain. So business opportunities and sales. Obviously, that's one of the key reasons that people go networking, but plus these other things you can gain. I'm not going to read all of these out to you because you can read these, but the one key one for us that we would like to point out, and I think this one has changed quite dramatically, particularly since COVID and lockdown, is learning how your positioning and marketing messaging lands. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this later, but think about that. If you're in a network that is supportive, where you're gaining trust and friendship from peers and other business owners, why wouldn't you ask them about your positioning and whether your messaging is landing? You speak to these people all the time. If you're gaining business, the chances are, yes, your messaging is working. But if it isn't gaining you business opportunities, ask those that you're closest to within your network as to whether they understand what your messaging is, or whether your positioning of your products and services are relevant. It's good to have that, other pair of eyes on what you're doing. So that was just one that we particularly wanted to kind of highlight to you. So we want everybody to get the same benefits as us from networking. And on that note, you can have all of this, be it online or in person. Principles are pretty much the same. We will point out a couple that are specific for online only later, but whether you prefer one or you do both, the keys to successful networking are building depth into relationships and earning credit with your network. It is really important to do that. And that is what we will be discussing in a little bit more in detail later. So I'm going to go over the format of today. So this session is going to be broken into 3 main areas. So firstly, networking mentality, which James will go over, and that's talking about the attitude that will help you to get results from your efforts. We'll then talk about networking principles, so the actions that support your networking activities, and then specifically online networking and what's different and what's the same. So James, I'm going to come over to you for networking mentality. As we said, you will get a chance to ask questions after each section. So I think there's probably already one in the Q&A. As you're thinking of them, pop them in the Q&A. And when we get to the end of each section, we will answer questions.
I will just jump on actually and answer Penelope's question. She's very rightly said we're using a bit of jargon. Closed podded is what she heard. Kelly was talking about, apologies, Penelope, a networking organisation called Poddy, P-I-D-D-I. That sounded like closed podded. And category restrictions, yes, absolutely one of the factors that you need to consider in terms of networking. Some restrict you to a category, i.e. you can only have one web designer, one marketer, one graphic designer, one solicitor. Others are open category, like Only is, and we will talk about that in a little bit more detail later. But it really comes down to choice as to whether you want a closed network that only allows one category. That gives people a certain level of comfort because they're not competing with others. Our contention is the internet happened, you're in a competitive market, and some of the best referrals, i.e. pieces of business past, come from people that, in brackets, do the same thing, in inverted commas, sorry. But that really is a choice as to how you approach that. So anyway, we'll come back to the questions after this part about networking mentality. So I'm going to start this. For me, if you've got the right mindset when it comes to networking, this is the most important bit to get right. If you get this wrong, nothing else will work. We're going to move on specifically to the actions that you can practice in order to get results from networking. But if you haven't got the right mindset or the right mentality, it's going to fail. It's that simple. So let's start with a definition of networking, because that isn't a given. What is networking? What is business networking? This is my preferred definition. There's quite a few of them out there, but I'll just read this out to you. Business networking is the practice of establishing mutually beneficial relationships with other business people and potential customers. That was so important that I've actually put that onto a slide, because I think that's worth you noting. That's the key. I've bolded it: mutually beneficial relationships. We'll come back to that in a minute. But also the word practice is quite important there. You have to practice at it. Very few people go to networking and understand the intricacies and how to get value from it immediately. So don't beat yourself up. I sadly, embarrassingly is the word for someone who runs a network, went to a BNI meeting, first time I ever went, long time ago, didn't get any business. Didn't then see the point of getting up that early in the morning to go to a networking group after one meeting. Common mistake. Where's the result? I didn't get it. It's a long haul. And also I needed to practice to understand how it works. It's also important to recognize that, as Kelly mentioned earlier, that it's not a standalone activity, networking. You could sort of in a hippie way say it's a state of mind, isn't it, networking? But you can network anywhere. Walking the dog, one of our members used to meet people dog walking, Kate Bickford, and she used to bring them along to the networking groups. It's an attitude. It's really having that open mind to think, I'm going to have open conversations with people, discover what they do. That's a form of networking. You don't actually, again, you'll probably be a bit surprised that someone that runs a network is going to say this. You don't have to go to networking events in order to network. Particularly now with LinkedIn, if you have conversations with people, we think the massive advantage of networking events is that everyone is there for the same thing. They are all there to network and build relationships. So you don't have to get past that first awkward, are you trying to sell to me, in order to establish relationships. It's giving you that crucial icebreaker in a formalized setting. So you've kind of got permission to talk to people. So that's very important. This networking mentality, networking attitude, we can generally spot people on one of our calls, whether they're going to be a good networker or not within about 30 seconds. Because you'll do this or not do this depending on your behavior. So the people that are sat there disinterested, don't have their video on, are probably doing an email in the background. We know they're going to struggle because they're not engaged. They're not actually giving themselves to the event. This is quite specific to online as well. Imagine you did that in person, that when everyone was speaking, you were doing something else. Looks bad, doesn't it? You would know probably instinctively that you're not giving a good impression to that other person. Why do we do it on online networking events? Because we kind of forget that, you know, one of the great things with Zoom networking, one of the reasons we love it, I can see everyone at any one time. I can see who's bored, I can see who's engaged, etc. The point here, the networking attitude, doesn't matter what your proposition, what you're selling, you will remember the people that smile, engage, listen, and endeavor to kind of show interest in what you are doing. Think about this, whether you've gone to an in-person networking event or you go to an online one. Who do you remember? Is it the person that smiles, that tries to make you feel welcome, maybe send you a message? Of course you remember those people. That they've established themselves in your mind. They haven't tried to sell you anything, but you already feel quite strongly about that person. That's a great asset. That's a great thing to leverage within your business as in a networker. So it becomes about attitude. And it's really important to recognize that if you have that bad, I'm not listening, I don't really care about what anyone else does on this call or in this meeting, it doesn't matter how good your introduction, your networking intro, your pitch, this is all in our jargon guide, by the way. Doesn't matter how good your intro is, you could get the world's best copywriter to write your introduction. If you then switch off and don't pay any attention to anyone else, it's going to fail. So that's really important to realize that. I've mentioned introductions there. We know this is a bugbear for people. People get really stressed about their networking introduction. Some people call it 60 seconds. That's the B&I term because they literally give you 60 seconds. Some people call it a pitch. That feels too deliberately salesy for me. It's all the same thing. It's how you introduce yourself at a networking event. The important thing here to try and alleviate your stress, think about your own behavior. How bothered are you about everyone else's introduction? Are you worried about what they're saying, or are you thinking about what you're going to say? Because I can tell you, everyone is in the same boat when it comes to introductions. People are less bothered about what you're saying, more bothered about what they are going to say. So don't worry about your introduction too much. That said, it's a balance, isn't it? So if you can do a good introduction that neatly summarizes what you do, who it's for, and maybe why it's different to everyone else out there, because few of us sell a unique product. If you can do that succinctly without boring people and repeating yourself, you have given yourself a massive advantage. The way that I look at the networking intro, imagine there's a box, there's a shelf behind you with your products on it. Can I point to that product and say, there it is, if you want to work with me, that's what you can buy. You can take it off the shelf and buy it from me. And also give me a guide. Does it cost £10? Does it cost £1,000? Does it cost 10 grand? Because there is no way I can refer you, i.e. recommend you to one of my connections if I've got no idea whether it costs £10 or £10,000. So you do have to make it quite clear to people who your product is for. So there you go. Networking mentality, networking attitude, mutually beneficial relationships. No one owes you anything when you go to a networking event. We were talking about this in the introduction, that some of that, and there's nothing wrong with B&I. B&I is a referral network, encourages a certain behavior, forces a certain behavior, but it makes you as a member bring something to the network. You have to help others. When you take that away, it can mean that people turn up at a networking event and have an expectation of a result, but they don't want to give. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we come to the actions. So that's part one, Kelly. We breezed through that. Is there anything in the Q&A that we need to address?
Yeah, I've answered a couple. We will endeavour to answer these as we go through, guys. So we've got the written answers on there as well. Paul, I was just replying to one of yours, so maybe James will pick up on, there's one from Anonymous there, but we'll just kind of quickly go through the questions that are already there. So Penelope, we covered off that one. LinkedIn, sharing content with people that are in the same industry as you, that came from Kate Phelps. Yeah, Kate, I would highly recommend that. I've popped the answer in there, but in order for you to showcase your areas of expertise within your industry or within your specialism, you do have to post that content, and you're going to be in a crowd and a sea of other people that do the same thing as you. All I can liken it to is when we were web developers, we had an only group that had 4 web designers in the same group. We used to pass more business between us 4 developers because we knew each other's specialisms and niches and ideal clients, and the overlap was so vast that between us, even us 4, we still couldn't service enough people. So by us having regular one-to-ones and talking to other people in our industry, we passed more business, and we also gained opportunity to collaborate, which is really, really important. I think with this small business market being so crowded and so many people vying for space, I would always recommend keeping people within your industry close to you and seeing that as an opportunity rather than competition. So I hope that one's been answered.
Can I just jump in the one about that Kate said about LinkedIn connections? I know you've put a good answer there, Kelly, but I think it's really important. Don't be afraid to curate and update your LinkedIn connections. We are going to talk about LinkedIn later because it has become the best friend to connect the dots of the online networker. If you've got tons of people, if you particularly move industries, my background was an IT journalist and I've moved away from that. So I've got connections that don't really care about me talking about networking. And at some point, I'm going to revisit those connections and remove a lot of them. Because what's the point in posting to people that have got no interest in what you do? It's not going to do any harm, but it's also not going to do you a lot of good. And I hate talking about the algorithm because people get so stressed about it, but think about it logically. If you're connected with people and you're posting stuff that isn't relevant to them, don't expect a reaction. Just a quick thing on LinkedIn, because this is the reason you shouldn't just connect with everyone that you meet without a conversation. When you post on LinkedIn, it only shares it to a limited and seemingly random set of your connections. So if it say shares it with 50 of your connections and they're from an industry that's nothing to do with what you're posting about now, you'll get no reaction. You then get no reaction. LinkedIn thinks it's useless content, doesn't bother sharing it with anyone else. So this is why you should police your LinkedIn connections and only really be connected with people that you've had conversations with. I now don't accept connection requests until I've had a conversation, because there's so many people on LinkedIn that are just prospecting. They're just hitting connect, trying to pick up random connections. It's like cold calling on the telephone. For me, LinkedIn's important to keep it as a solid network. So I thought that was worth jumping on.
Absolutely. There's just a couple more that we could probably quickly cover over in case we get a backlog. But
yeah,
Mia's talked about any tips for very shy or introverted people to network successfully online all day long. Whichever organisation, Mia, is probably the best way to start. I can remember being in the room and you always had the loudest person that just wanted everybody to hear their voice, and their point was the one that you kind of walked away with, having bombarded in your brain. Can't do that online. So FSB is great at this. We go to a few FSB events, and similarly in our own network, you have slots where you can talk. You know, when you go into a breakout room, I think FSB, it's a bigger group of people. We certainly only do it one-to-one, our breakout rooms, because it does give introverted people or shyer people the chance just to be able to talk in a kind of safe and secure environment. I would say, Mia, the first thing to kind of overcome is that feeling of comfort, isn't it? So just go to a few events and take it in. If you don't want to interact and if you don't want to say much in the first couple of events that you go to, don't feel pressure to do so. Just go there and get the lay of the land, work out what the kind of the structure of that particular event is, and then over time gradually add a little bit more. When you do your introduction, don't say loads, say who you are and say what you do. You don't have to elaborate on it if you feel uncomfortable. So it's really small baby steps, I would suggest. And also talk to the host of the group. So, you know, for me particularly, the groups that I host, I'll definitely talk to people that feel a little bit nervous or probably edging more on the introvert sides, because there are different things you can do, but we may cover a little bit more of that later, but I just wanted to kind of touch on that for you. Very quickly, Paul said, would you try lots of groups in order to maximize reach, or keep to just one or two to build closer relationships? Really great question. Get asked this all the time. I would try a few, Paul, in all honesty. See what you like, see which format you like best, see which groups kind of you're attracted to the most. And then I would narrow it down to a couple. I think you can over network. I highly recommend being a member of more than one network, but I do think it is beneficial to pick 2, maximum 3, because otherwise you are just splitting your time and your efforts and your energy. But you need to work out which one's which first. Is all networking the same? Been to some and it's just in your face salesy and it all seems transactional? No, definitely not. Absolutely not. We tried to buck this trend when we set up Only. So we are the business network for people who like people, and for us, a one-to-one is about getting to know the person, not necessarily even what they do at the forefront, because you're not going to buy or gravitate towards somebody you don't know. So absolutely look for networking organisations that lead with the relationship build first.
Keely's made a similar point, isn't she, about being in sales mode, and that comes down to the culture of the network. You know, we've got a film and book club because we are so acutely aware that networking traditionally led with the promise of the sale. That was what it was for. That's what referral networking is. It's that we're all going to help each other try and get sales. I'm not going to go into loads of the pros and cons of that, but there is a downside to that approach, is that, you know, are you referring for the right reasons? For example, we believe that the relationship should always come first. I don't think anyone's ever bought from anyone in the B2B world without having a relationship with them first. And if that is true, why do we try and lead with the sale? Because I am not going to refer someone to someone and it's not a good fit. it has to be the right fit for that person. And the only way I'm going to ascertain that is by getting to know that individual or both of the individuals in order to make the right connection for them. So yeah, we're absolutely huge advocates of, if you lead with a relationship, you get so much more out of it as well. Because otherwise we're just people pitching at each other. What's the point of that? All that stuff that we put on the list earlier about that you can gain from networking, the friendship, the support. We know how much is this worth, for example. If I need any help within business, I could call someone now and they'll probably give me 10 minutes of their time, which is worth, in some cases, thousands of pounds, because I've just earned that credit from my network. What's that worth? The only way I unlock that is by having friendships with these people. That is not a given. So that's why we believe you have to learn from, lead with the relationship. So Keely, I think absolutely that's about finding the right network for you.
Yeah.
Anything
absolutely.
else, Kelly?
A couple of bits about one-to-ones. What more information about that? We will cover that in a minute.
I've got to go to Radix one about, don't you think accepting most of the connection requests and therefore having a small network look bad? We've done this on the Only Show. I had a guy, I was showing him something on LinkedIn, I was doing a screen share, and he went to me, I've got more connections than you, and you run a networking group, and he was really smug about it. When we looked at his posts, he had 0 engagement because all he'd proven is that he can jam a connect button. Jamming a connect button, by the way, at volume is not networking. He had no relationship with any of his connections. Go back to that principle that I said earlier. When he did post something, it just appeared in front of people who didn't really even know who he was. Certainly had no interest in what he did, and he got 0 engagement on anything that he posted. So I would rather have a network of 200 people that actually know who I am and are engaged, because for me, that's a true network. But also, if we're talking specifically about LinkedIn, it is better for the LinkedIn algorithm, because when I post, in all likelihood, the people that I'm connected to are going to respond to that post. So don't be fooled. The best networkers don't have the most number of connections. Look at their engagement to show that they've just jammed a button. Sorry to jump in there, Kelly.
No, you're very passionate about LinkedIn and network, aren't you? So yeah, we could talk about that for days. Just very quickly, we'll move on to networking principles, so I'm mindful of time, but advice on people on the autism spectrum. We've got anonymous on there. This goes to anybody. If you want to connect with us on LinkedIn and have a discussion about anything like this in particular, please do. We are very much open and we answer all of our messages. So whoever that is that's put that in there, there are ways of dealing with networking if you're on one of the spectrums, and we have a few members within Only. I'm sure FSB do the same, and there is somebody who will specifically talk to others in a similar space that I can connect you with if you want to connect with me. Okay, I think it's all about knowing your limits, isn't it, and understanding what is acceptable for you and making sure that you don't overstretch, because you don't have to. And that actually goes for anybody. You don't have to do anything within networking. You just have to do what it feels right for you and what works for you. So on that note, I think we'll move on to networking principles. So James has touched on this. So at networking, you most definitely get out what you put in, and you do need to earn credit within your network. It doesn't have to be spending money either. Okay, that is super important. And I think this is when everybody goes, oh, thank goodness. There's lots of misconceptions about the fact that you join networking and you have to spend money on all the services and products of people there. No, you don't. You can gain credit in many other ways, and we're going to go over that now. So gain credit by listening and trying to help people based on what they say they need. It costs you absolutely nothing, but gives you valuable credit. We all want others to give us attention. So use that psychology by flipping your behaviors. Okay. So don't ask someone to follow you on Insta or Facebook. We've all been in that meeting. Come along, follow me. Tell you what, how about I'll follow you first, and then guess what happens? When somebody follows you, you'll go and look at their profile, and if it's interesting, you'll follow them back. I'm pretty sure anybody in this room, if you've been in a networking call and somebody's just gone, follow me on Facebook, and they've put a link in the chat, you might have done if it was something that really interested you, but you would have been much more likely to follow them had they have followed you first and shown interest in you. I'm available for a one-to-one. That's a classic. Anybody on here that wants a one-to-one with me, reach out. No, I tell you what, go into a meeting, and when people are talking, who do you want to talk to? send them a message, instigate that conversation first. It's a much nicer experience and you will gain much more from it. Asking for help. You can ask for help, but definitely we'd say this all the time, it's probably worth us saying that there's a very similar demographic between the FSB networking and only networking. We are purely online networking at only, we're UK and US, and FSB is very similar. So when we come along to FSB events, the type of person you'll meet is incredibly similar, lots of supportive people. So you can ask for help, but also how can you help others? When people are talking, are you thinking about how you can connect them with other people that they may get along with or may be beneficial to them? Doesn't necessarily need to be somebody that is going to pay them money, but some of the best collaborations come from introductions between a third party. It's really hard to ignore someone that's given you time and attention. So if you give attention, you'll gain attention. And it's another way to gain valuable credit within your network.
Just worth emphasising that point, because I think the question we get asked during our various business discussions at Only is, how do I get more likes, more comments on what I post on social media? And this is a backwards way of answering that question. Everyone wants the same thing on social media. There's one commodity that every single person that's ever posted on social media wants: attention. So it's a really simple thing when you think about it. If you want to get attention, give attention first. Give people what they want. Very hard to ignore someone. How often does this happen to you, that someone sends you a message and says, "Hi, I've just got to know you. I met you at networking," or "I don't even know you. I read your blog. It was brilliant. I really liked this point," or "I watched your podcast," or etc., etc. Really hard to ignore someone that does that. And that's a fantastic way to build that level of attention and getting a relationship moving. So really do use that to your advantage, because Kelly's a great example of this. If you connect with her on LinkedIn, you'll see she doesn't post that much, but she meets so many people on LinkedIn because she talks on their content. Don't worry about posting. Use other people's content, post on that, you'll get into conversations. That's what it's all about. So more networking. Sorry, Kelly, go on.
Martine's just put a question that's probably relevant to what we're talking about now. So she's saying about, is it best to be on all platforms or just focus on one or two? In all honesty, Martine, we've got quite a few social media experts. There's probably some in the room here. I think it is, what do you enjoy doing? If you don't enjoy a particular platform, you're not going to give it the care and attention that it needs. So I would probably put that one on the back burner, but also which ones are working for you. So do you actually know the statistics from your posts? Do you look at the analytics? Do you see what actually works? Because how do you know whether to do more if you don't know whether something's actually gaining you anything in the first place? A lot of our experts will say, focus on one or two to begin with, particularly you have one to begin with, one that you particularly like and you enjoy and you understand, get that working for you, and then move on to another one, would be the best kind of advice, I think, from that.
What the key here, Kelly's touched on this, but what is the result that you are expecting or hoping for from your social media activity? Because we've been in this world, we've done outsourced social media. People, when you ask them, well, what do you want? They're kind of generally quite vague. Well, I want more business, don't I? Ultimately, we need more business. We need more leads. Are you tracking that end-to-end process? Are you tracking click-through from your social media post through to your website? Does your website then have a conversion number attached to it? Because again, a lot of people worry about things like SEO. My counter to that is, what does your website convert? Because what's the point? If it's zero, what's the point in putting a bigger number in front of times zero? Does you no good. So, LinkedIn's a great example. If all that happens is you get into conversations with people that then can lead to business opportunities, are you tracking that? Have you got a CRM system? Because people forget. It might be that you had one conversation at a networking group, you spoke to John then introduced you to someone else, that then led to your biggest client. If we don't track it, we don't know where our business is coming from. So you've got to think empirically about why you are doing social media before you worry about how many platforms you use. Show a result on one, work out why, then you can repeat it, then you can look at other platforms. But definitely don't just spam the same content on every platform and expect a result, because it doesn't work. All right, should we move on, Kelly?
Yeah.
There we go. That's a weird picture, isn't it? It does make me feel quite retro. Why am I showing you the game Guess Who? If you don't remember Guess Who, it's the game where you have to say, do I wear glasses? And you clap down the tiles. What's that got to do with networking? Everything. Because this is one of the big things that people get wrong at networking events. We produce an attendance list. Most networking groups do. So they'll show you who's there, there's contact details, etc. Most people, when they go to networking, have got an agenda. I want to speak to so-and-so. Why? Because I think they're going to potentially give me business or give me a result. So what happens is people look at the sheet. Oh, that's someone, I'll use essential oils as a great example. That person sells essential oils. I don't want to speak to them. Clack, because I don't want to buy essential oils. Oh, that person's utility warehouse. Clack, don't want to speak to them. Oh, coaches, I've spoke to loads of coaches. Clack, clack, clack. You end up with a couple of tiles standing. They're the people that I really want to speak to because they're going to potentially give me business. What happens when you then go and speak to those two people and they don't give you business? You've clacked down every tile, you've closed your network, done. Never assume whether someone can help you or not, or could become a friend based on their name and their job title. How can you possibly ascertain that information? Some of the most unlikely best referrals come from people that you would never dream of as being in your field. I say essential oils. Friend of ours, Liz, sells doTERRA essential oils. Also, was senior CRM implementation expert globally for PwC. A lot of abbreviations there. Customer relationship management. What does PwC stand for? PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's a big consultancy firm. Billion-dollar company. Someone asked once for a CRM connection. Liz knew that person because it was her friend. Best connection that person would ever get came from the oils lady. I have lost count of the number of times that happens within networking. Never assume someone can help you or not based on their job title. You don't know who they're married to. You don't know who their best friend is. You don't know what they used to do. So if you can go into networking open-minded and give everyone the respect that they deserve and get into that conversation, that's when your networking suddenly becomes this incredibly powerful kind of limitless reach thing, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever that expression is. Okay, so just a couple of other things. I've just mentioned there, the branches of your network, incredibly powerful. Don't chop branches unless those relationships are toxic. Because sometimes we've seen it loads of times, 10 years down the line, you'll suddenly hear back from someone that says, I remember you used to do this. Can you help my friend? That's a great reason not to cut branches. Be consistent. The question earlier about should I go to multiple networks, the reason you shouldn't do too many too frequently is that it encourages that this is me, this is what I do, there's my business card. You've got to build depth into those relationships. If you go to too many networks, how can you possibly help everyone that you meet and earn credit? And you're just scattering yourself, spreading yourself too thin. People realize that you're just dipping in and out. Be present. We talked about this earlier. Make sure you're listening when you're on a networking meeting, not over doing an email. We've seen someone famously missed a direct referral because they were too busy doing email in the background. And I had to contact them after saying, you do realize someone was trying to buy from you and you ignored them. That's an extreme example, but you've got to try and be present within the network. And then your post-meeting follow-up activity, incredibly important, but we'll share that checklist at the end. Kelly, where are we?
We are coming close to our time, so we will ramp it up a bit. But Joanna has put a message in here about me speaking about each networking platform and how much time and attention should you give it. This is a bit of a how long is a piece of string.
Well, that's in this next section, isn't it?
It is, yeah. All I was going to say is it is coming up in this next section. But what I would suggest, because I don't think we've popped it in our notes, but it's not just about going to a meeting, whether that's online or in person. Have you given yourself half an hour at the end of a meeting to do the work that's the magic, that's where the gold lies. So after every event, you should be putting 15 minutes, at least half an hour, ideally, into your diary to make those connections, further those connections on LinkedIn, have those conversations, set up one-to-ones. So one-to-ones, for anybody that doesn't know, obviously is a meeting between two people just to further conversation. That's the time that you should be absolutely reaping the rewards of that networking event. So James is going to cover that a little bit more, but I just wanted to make sure that we covered that.
Absolutely. Worth mentioning at that point as well, Joanna, everyone should do this calculation. you know, and Kelly does this breakdown in the next section about time allocation, but please also, if you're going to judge networking and a networking result, please look at social media activity. How long do you spend on social media? What measurable result do you get from social media? Bit of a bone of contention within me, but it seems to get a free pass. People spend a lot of time on social media for business, can't show me a provable result from it, yet carry on doing it. So again, a lot of this comes down to, you know, any kind of smart working is actually work out where am I getting a result. And if, by the way, it's your website linked to social media, happy days, you might not have to do networking. But we find that for most small businesses, the other benefits they get from it, plus the time allocation, it isn't as much as you think when you actually stack it up equally against other business activities. There you go, Kelly. Oh, that's me, isn't it?
That is you, yeah.
Section. Well, I'll do the next section, won't I? I won't read that out. This section, really, to wrap us up, is the specifics of online networking. Kelly's mentioned earlier, our groups are online. FSB offer online networking as well. Think about the scale. I'm not going to read that out, what it says on the screen. Unprecedented volume. You've still got to put the effort to build in depth. And this goes back to that idea of kind of dipping in. Well, I've been to a networking event, but were you really? Have you really engaged with the people that you've met there, or have you just turned up? It's the equivalent of going to an in-person event, throwing your business card at everyone that you speak to, throwing a business card at them and walking away. It's not networking, is it? That's just you throwing business cards around. So online, we've talked about this quite a lot already, haven't we, about connecting it with LinkedIn and the follow-up activity. I think it's really important that we use online networking as an opportunity to learn. You can see 20 people, 30 people's reaction to what you're saying at any one time. We mentioned this at the beginning, but it's worth mentioning again. It's such a powerful way to ascertain whether your messaging lands, whether people are bored, whether what you're saying is of value. I'll give you an example based on my own experience, because I think businesses, marketing and positioning is a perpetual problem for small business owners. How do I position myself when there's hundreds, thousands of people offering the same thing as me? It's very hard to get the feedback you need in order to position yourself differently by just posting on social media, your website, because you don't get any immediate feedback. Yeah, you might not get a lot of reaction, but you don't know why you're not getting a lot of reaction. Is it the algorithm? Is it because the platform isn't developed enough? Or is it because the messaging doesn't land? Think about what you get from networking events. Think about what you get when you have a one-to-one conversation with someone else and you tell them what you do. Look at their reaction. Absolutely priceless feedback on what you do. I'll give you my example. I shamed myself earlier by saying that I went to BNI, didn't get any business, didn't go back again. As a continuation of that, my story continued by I did go back again. Part of the reason I got no business from networking is that I turned up. I was a journalist. I used to edit magazines. I was a hotshot. Of course, people are going to want to work with me. Of course, they didn't, because why would any of those small business owners need a writer? I hadn't explained it in a way that meant anything to anyone. So they were actually quite puzzled as why I was at a networking event. So what did I do? I just started having conversations with people. Tell me about your business. Tell me about your challenges. The challenge that came up at the time, lots of people needed help with Twitter. I was quite good at Twitter. I had a good following. So you need help with Twitter. I could teach you how to do that. As soon as I started going to networking events and saying, I can help you learn Twitter, suddenly people wanted to work with me because I'd made it a tangible thing based on a pain point or something they wanted to learn. Massively underrated driver and force within business that I think all of the business books overlook is the simplest one of all, supply and demand. What am I selling? Does anyone want it or even care about it? And the way that you use networking to work that out is just to ask questions. Don't go in saying, well, I do this. Ask them, tell me about your business and tell me about your challenges specific to the thing that I sell, because that's when you can work out a gap, something they need help with. I went from doing Twitter to people needed help on websites and blogs, because that bit, well, I can do that. I'm a writer. I can help you do blogs. So again, we built our businesses, I certainly did, based on just asking questions, moving on to the next thing. Oh, I want you to do my blog, James, but my website, I can't actually add a blog to my website. Right, fine. I need to help people with websites because they're getting bombarded with jargon. So I started building websites for people. You get the point. Don't just rock up at a networking event with a fully packaged, finished product. Use it to adapt what you say and your offering. Kelly, time calculation.
Absolutely. I'm just going to get a couple of these questions while we're there, being specific. So I think you just covered this, Karen. I think you probably got a couple of tips there, but people are scared to be too niche, scared to go too kind of focused on a specific. And I would say dispel that myth. Be as specific as you can and go all out for that person you want to work with. So whether it's you work with men or you work with women, that's still quite generalistic. You're still being quite general of who you want to work with. Do you want to work with people in the creative industry? Do you want to work with people that work from home? Whatever it is, how niche can you make it? Because that message will resonate with them so clearly, they will understand exactly what it is you are offering. But the benefit there is your message will still be heard by everybody else outside of that, and you will still capture people on the periphery, but your message will be ultra clear for those that you particularly want to work with. So don't be frightened to be very specific in who you are looking for, and ask is the key. Don't say, I want to talk to anybody who is remotely interested in this thing that I'm offering. It doesn't spark imagination and it doesn't make us want to understand more. You need to be specific. I hope that helps as well.
Can I jump on Sharon's question? Because about content on LinkedIn, she's a BDM for an accountancy practice. How do you get the balance between posting? I love this question because the answer is, if you're going to post, make it about the obvious stuff. We know someone who's an accountant who did a podcast about, should I be VAT registered? It's the questions that your accountancy firm, Sharon, is really bored of answering. That's your content, and you can't say it enough in different ways because people are entering the business world every day and they need to know whether they need to be VAT registered or not. Beyond that, don't worry about the content, just champion other business owners. I'd love to speak to someone who is a BDM for an accountancy practice that wants to get to know my business and my challenges, and then potentially present solutions, because it's based on I don't care about what's changed in the tax law world. You don't need to write me a report and send me an email, because that's what I employ an accountant for. So just what I'm saying is, don't worry about churning out reams of content. Just become an accountant who actually cares and champions the businesses in your network. You will immediately find that people respond better to that than you keep trying to repackage and redo lots of content. Kelly.
Absolutely, yeah. Ian did mention, because Tracy's just added a comment on there as well about, sorry, I've just got to go back to Ian's original, businesses pitching at consultancy to schools and colleges. Tracy's right, they do offer their own networking events. They can sometimes be difficult to get into, but my advice there, Ian, would be just ask. You will be amazed how many people go to networking that have a connection within their family or friendship circle that directly relates into the education industry. We have a member who is an ex-head teacher, with a couple actually, and their connections are huge. Similar thing, they want consultancy back into schools and they ask for it, and I probably stick my neck on the line to say that they get a connection every time they're at a meeting because of the wider network of the people that they're networking with. Right, and we'll come back to questions in a minute, but we are running out of time, so I'm just going to talk to you about time. So apologies if my maths is not right, but bear with me on this one. So do yourself a time calculation. So I used to get great success from weekly networking. Okay, I'm very happy to say that was BNI. Loved it, got loads of business from it, and 74% to be precise of my business came from BNI. So how much time did I use up there? So 90 minutes for the meetings, so 4 meetings a month, 60 minutes times 4 a month, before and after meeting chats, so that bit where the gold is, where you've got to have those conversations around the coffee pot, etc., etc. And then 4 one-to-ones a month. I typically used to have them after a meeting, so I'd book in an hour after each meeting, so that was another 60 minutes 4 times a month. You're looking at about 14 hours a month for a weekly networking event. Plus, outside of that, there would be online follow-up, social media connections, LinkedIn conversations. So I would guesstimate that probably 20 hours a month I put into weekly networking in order to gain 74% of my business. Now, I could argue that if I put 20 hours a month into marketing, I would get 74% of my business from it. Networking marketing is a similar thing. You are marketing yourself when you go out networking, but do you enjoy it? Okay. Can I realistically get the same from a 90-minute once a month networking meeting, which essentially is what Only offers? FSB, we do one monthly regional meeting, and then our members have 9 other events a month to go to, but technically they could just go to one 90-minute a month meeting. Could I do 74% of business from 90 minutes? Not without other activity. Be honest. Are you going to a 90-minute meeting, saying your bit, vaguely listening to other people, leaving, and then going, oh, I don't really get anything from this? Doesn't it go without saying that you're not going to gain anything from it unless you put more effort and activity into it? So I'm now getting much better results in much less time. I have no travel, I have no hanging around, I have no small talk. I have a 30-minute Zoom one-to-ones rather than an hour that might lead to 2, 3, 4 hours if I'm sat in a coffee shop, saving money at the same time. I have conversations with people online. I pay attention in the meetings, and I allocate my time to thinking about ways I can help those that I meet. When I'm in a one-to-one meeting, I'll have a notebook next to me, and when I'm thinking and I'm talking to that person, interacting with them, I'll jot down who I think is a good connection for them, who I want to refer, give details to, who I want to introduce them to, other websites that I want to refer them to, if there's things I can do to help support them. And then I do that as soon as the call is finished. It's activities like these that build depth into relationship and make networking effective. And it just takes me less time now because I do it all online. We've talked about connecting the dots via social media. Make sure you're connecting with people that you meet and start a conversation by sending a message, okay? Are you spending time reading and commenting on their posts, like we said? And focus on LinkedIn. It is for business, but use it to network and to talk to people. It's not just a place to share your marketing posts. The coffee chats, being sat next to somebody that used to happen in person, now take place on social media. And those kind of serendipitous conversations that you wouldn't be expecting, that's what happens in a breakout room. So make the best use of those. James and I are quite bold when we do these things. If you want to connect with us on LinkedIn, search our names with Only and we will come up. If you send us a message with the connection request and not just hit the button like James talked about, we will reply to all of them. We love people. We find people so fascinating. We will connect with you and we will have a conversation with you, but please do add a message to it. Don't just blind connect with us.
If you don't know how to do that, actually, because that's not a given, when you search for someone's name, the search result that appears in LinkedIn just gives you a connect button. If you press that, there is no option to add a note. And the problem is, if you do that and the person that you've requested to connect with then just clicks accept, you haven't started a relationship. You will forget, because LinkedIn doesn't actually remind you that you've connected with that person. You'll basically just drift apart in the algorithm. You'll probably never talk to each other. Pointless connection. What you have to do, search for us in this example, click on our profile. Then when you go through to our full profile and hit the connect button, it will give you the option to add a note, which is what Kelly's talking about. You can then instigate a conversation, give us feedback, tell us what you thought. We'll start talking to you. That is true connection building, not just jamming on the button. So, Kelly, I'm just going to try this because it does say answer live. I wonder if this flashes up on the screen.
No, I've been doing that. It just means that it puts it back.
Don't do anything. The anonymous attendee was asking us about when we did the web development, how did we differentiate? Our point of difference was me as a journalist. So a lot of web design companies didn't have the content. They outsourced the copywriting. So I would say one of the big holdups for building a website is the copy. It generally is, but because I can do that, I can build that in. The problem with any of that stuff is, you've said, well, our agency is about the creative brief is bespoke. So we bespoke it to each. Sorry, there are thousands of bespoke digital service providers out there. That is not going to be a strong enough point of differentiation. You have to find something more specific. But don't be disheartened by that fact, because I know that there's thousands of bespoke digital services companies out there. What will make the difference for me personally and people in my network is you. What do you bring? Are you interested? Are you trying to help other people? This, by the way, kind of encapsulates almost everything that we've talked about around positioning and also networking behavior. If you come into our network and you want to get to know everyone and you're trying to help people and you're having one-to-ones and I see you supporting other people's posts on social media with comments and likes, you will immediately rise to the top of my field of vision, and obviously other people in the network, as opposed to you coming and saying, oh, I'm really trying hard to differentiate. That is the point of differentiation that we can all do at networking, is us as people and our want to support others in the network. You will stand out a mile. And then, by the way, I'll get into a conversation with you and I might find the point of differences. Oh, because I know someone that needs that. You do video introductory videos, for example, might be something that I could connect someone with. So that goes back to that point earlier. Don't be too stressed about your introduction and point of difference. Use the network to find what it is. And while you're finding it, build credit by just being a good networker.
We desperately need to turn back to Ruth, but very, very quickly, Caroline said about what is a breakout room. We've got a jargon buster sheet, which we will send out after this, Caroline. So some of the terminology that's been used, we didn't want to spend too much time on that, but we'll send that out post meeting. Breakout room is when you're online networking, and it's a big room to begin with, and then the host will generate breakout rooms. So you might go into a group of 4, 5, 6. I think FSB is a bigger room, whereas only it is a group of 2 people where you just have 10 minutes to chat to each other. That's a breakout room. And then just very quickly, Dane's talking about when scrolling through LinkedIn, we don't recognise, should we reach out and say, hi, how did we meet? Yeah, absolutely. And I always keep all of my messages on LinkedIn, because a year down the line, when somebody comes back to me and I can't remember who they are, I can very quickly search the conversation I had with them. So I would absolutely recommend that. Right, Ruth, back to you. Where did that time go?
I know it seemed to go in a flash. Thank you both so much. That was a really interesting session, and fascinating how social media really is such an intrinsic part of our networking these days. So, you know, I know for me, when I host a networking session, I then do a LinkedIn post about it and I connect to everybody who's come to the session, or I tag them all in my post to make it easier for people to connect. But you're so right. It makes a huge difference when people put a message rather than just sending you something and you think, well, I've no idea who you are. Why would I want to connect with you? So you definitely, if you get a friendly message saying that they've just met you and, you know, you'd like to work together, then that's great. But also then don't follow it up with this standard boilerplate trying to sell me something email that happens with some people, where you think, well, I don't have any CCTV cameras, for example. Why would you send me something asking me if I want a CCTV camera? But anyway, do try and keep it personal, I think, which is a theme of your whole session, really. It's those personal relationships that make us want to buy from people. So if we only all remembered that and took the time to treat everyone like a human being or a potential friend, then I think we'd all find networking much more successful. But thank you so much for everyone for attending today, but also and primarily to the 2 of you for all the really useful information. So as I said at the beginning, there are some supplementary documents that we're going to be emailing out to you that Kelly and James have mentioned throughout the talk. So do watch out for those in your inbox. The recording of this session will be on the FSB On Demand page. So if you don't know where that is, just Google FSB On Demand and it comes up with the On Demand page. And it'll have not only this webinar once we've loaded it up, but previous ones that we've done. So it's an interesting page to just bookmark and keep going back to. So if you have any friends who haven't attended the session today and would like to, you think would benefit from watching this session, do flag up that page to them, and they can watch it whether or not they registered to attend the page. the other thing I wanted to say was, so this is my little plea here, if you like the sessions that like this that FSP do, we'd be really grateful if you would do us a Trustpilot review. We you know, people look at us online, we've talked about that a lot, and a great way to get people to click on our website and find out more about us is to have a good Trustpilot review. So please do that if you're a fan of using that. And what I also wanted to mention was that FSB has networking events that are typically free online across the country. So no matter what part of the world you're in, there should be something for you. And we also have specific sort of sector specific networking events. So myself, I host one for engineering, manufacturing and transport businesses. So if you're in that field, you can use that. We have one for LGBTQ plus business owners, one for ethnic minority business owners, one for disabled business owners. So if you'd like to get a bit more specific with your networking, please do check those out. But we hope to see you, whether you're an experienced networker or a new one, at one of our sessions soon. So thank you so much, and have a good rest of the week.
Thanks for having us, Ruth.
Bye.
Bye.